Hey there, I'm Mark.
I'm Evan.
On this week's episode, Evan actually...
This is a big light bulb moment right at the end, though. We have a bunch of fake light bulb moments. We're digging up Mark. We're pulling stuff in. But you get to the end, it's gold. This is a memorable, lasting episode. You have to listen, watch all the way to the end.
Here we go.
Podcast, season 4.
Season 4, it's the build.
Changing and improving your life. Let's go.
Improving your life one day at a time, right?
All right, what do we got this week, Drager?
Well, I just want to say, I obviously, I mean, I like to watch you on Instagram, of course, as everyone should. And your 10 questions, you did an 11th question last night, which I found playful and fun. But that aside, one of the questions was, oh gosh, I just forgot it. It wasn't how you stay motivated. It was about success, how you feel successful. And you were like, it's about what you do every day. It's not about just hitting that one goal. And I was like, that is good. That's what we all need to work on, right?
Have you not heard me say that before? This is a new revelation.
No, I'm just appreciating you through words of affirmation and everything else.
Oh, okay, great.
Anyway, I got a diagnosis.
It finally happened. Okay,
yes.
Here's the update. And what is it? Are we happy with it?
You should have seen how you should have seen how disgruntled I actually was.
No.
I was just like sitting there, like taking notes, and I've pages of notes, and I was just like, Well, so I reached out to the therapist, and when I booked the appointment, I said, "Hey, I have really bad anxiety, and I think I have these other things." So guess what the diagnosis came back as?
Okay, anxiety and these other things.
Just anxiety. It's just anxiety. He's like, maybe you have some levels of, borderline personality disorder, but it's you may have quirks, you may have tendencies. Apparently I have tendencies of OCD. I have very, very strong issues with perfectionism because I'm just so obsessed with doing things the right way that actually leads to a lot of my anxiety and other things. So we can dig into that, but it was interesting because I've learned that at least in the world of therapy and stuff or whatnot, it's not even how you feel and how you spend your time and what you do. It's your ability to adjust that actually dictates whether it's a disorder or an issue or not. And so he said, Mark, you may get really snap angry, but you're not inflexible to getting better and wanting to get better. And you may have the tendencies where you want things a certain way, but you're not like, but you're willing to change if it makes sense.
It was useless. Great. Awesome.
Yeah. So apparently
let's flash back to 5 weeks ago where we called it, but it's okay. It's fine.
No, this is interesting though, because I thought that we talked about up Mark, right? Like maybe I'm bipolar. And so when I'm up, I'm manic. And when I'm down, I'm depressed. Luckily, it looks like I may not be bipolar. So that is a blessing. Luckily, it looks like I may not have borderline personality. But what's interesting, or a revelation at least, is the way it was explained to me is that there's this spectrum of time. And on one side is the past, on the other side is the future, and then you have the present. Anxiety is about worrying about the future and a lack of control in the future. Depression is just getting stuck in the past and not ever really believing that there's hope in the future. And then Evan is the president of the present. You live your life in the present, and that's amazing. So rather than me being up or down or all of these things, as it turns out, it might just be that when I'm up, that's actually just me being bold and not really letting the anxiety bother me. And so that might be the true version of me when I don't have a lot of anxiety. And the down isn't the opposite of being manic. It's actually the opposite of the anxiety, because when I do feel like I don't have control, or when I'm not doing things the right way, or I'm not good enough, or all of those things, it makes me worry. And when I worry a lot, it makes me want to take action. But when I think I can't fix it, that makes me really depressed. And so,
it's not just anxiety.
You don't think it's just anxiety? I mean, My anxiety is pretty bad, man. Like I've been tracking...
Listen, you definitely have anxiety, but you want to talk about a spectrum? Awesome.
Yeah.
BPD or bipolar, whatever, is also a spectrum, and you are definitely on it. Mark's holding up a Tim's coffee.
Yeah, I realized I held up the French side.
It was a misdiagnosis from the wrong guy.
Yeah. Well, I'm like Okay. Well, I mean, that helps. I'm really excited because I'm speaking to a therapist who specializes this on the podcast, on the We Do Hard Things podcast. Nice. December 18th, I'll be having the conversation. You sent me a link to this woman out of the UK, Eggshell Therapy. We have her on. I cannot wait to talk to her because I'm going to like just literally be like, hey, this is what's happened. Quick. You know, this isn't a therapy session, but just help me out with this. Like, you know, help me figure this out. I was only so sure that I had manic and bipolar potential tendencies or BDP and stuff because you sent me down that path. I thought anxiety, yes. Fixed mindset, yes. You were the one who said, no, there's more to it than that. Why, you know? So anyway, the doctor, the therapist or whatever is busy telling me this and I'm all disgruntled. And he's like, so there you go, Mark. And I was like, but I already knew this. Like, I'm like, I already knew this. And then his response was, isn't this enough though? Like,
oh my God,
isn't it enough that you have really bad anxiety? And why don't we work on this? Why are you still looking for?
Let's stop talking about this guy. Unless you feel like there's any actual value for your life from this guy versus what we all already know that is basically a waste of time. Apart from you sharing parts that maybe you had to uncover or ask questions that you never thought that led to more self-reflection. But honestly, the biggest value of that entire 4 weeks or whatever it was the self-reflection on questions and really any guidance.
Yes, but it did prompt me to spend a lot more time digging into things. And I have come to realize, because I was even saying to Jack the other day, I was like, you know what? It made me think of times in my life that I haven't even shared. Like I've been with my wife for 20 years. We've been married for 15. Yeah. Like she knows me very well. And yet there's still things and stories and memories and moments that it just never came up.
Yeah.
And so one thing I did realize through this is like, okay, you know, basically from the age of 6 and under, things were pretty normal. And then there was a real period of years where like, I didn't even like it was my life. So I've never looked back at it clinically, but it's like at the age of 7, at the age of 7, I was raised with my mom, my aunt, and my sister because my dad and my mom divorced when I was born. But at the age of 7, my aunt moved out. My stepfather moved in. My mom got remarried. That all happened in 6 months. I found out my dad has mania because we didn't know he had a mental health condition because he didn't tell my mom that. Anyway, they got married. And he has this. He also has all of these other issues.
But your dad or your stepdad?
My stepdad. My stepdad. Right. He's also an alcoholic. Yeah. I'm also now the youngest. I was the youngest of me and my sister, but now I have 2 older stepbrothers, or stepbrother and stepsister. The same year, my dad got remarried. Now I have a stepmother, and now I have 2 more stepbrothers. And then 2 years after that, my mom almost passed away.
You're great at doing your brand exercises. What do you call it? Brand wandering? No, brand evaluations, brand
strategy?
Favorite part. Brand strategy.
Yeah.
Okay. You're great at doing your brand strategy.
Yeah. Should I do a brand strategy on myself?
No. I'm just putting into an analogy that I think you'll understand. At least I hope. So Mark's great at doing brand strategy. He's really good at it.
That was such a dig.
Fine. He's really good at it. You got to see him in action. I feel like that should be you. If you want to ever see Mark in his element, because I know, podcast listeners, watchers, Mark's more the I need help. That's the role he kind of plays on this show is I need help. And like,
because otherwise you wouldn't talk about anything.
It's fine. It's not, this is a side of Mark, but if you want to see Mark in his element, you got to watch him do brand strategy. Cause then you're like, oh my God, this guy's a genius. Maybe at some point we need to film Mark actually going through this with somebody, but bonus podcast episode. But if you were to type in to Google marketing, brand consultant, marketing consultant, you're going to get tons of people, right? There's lots of people who promise that they can help you with your brand, especially now. I'll help you build your personal brand. Like right. Everybody's a personal brand expert. You're suggesting
that perhaps the person I'm speaking to is not necessarily at the level.
No, not just that. But so if you were to look up, and even in Toronto, even in the city we're both in, how many people could, with their websites and Instagram accounts, claim to be a personal branding expert and can guide you through and will happily take your money to guide you through their branding process. There is a big difference between Instagram expert personal branding and the Mark Drager experience.
Just let the words wash over me. Oh, that feels good. Thank you, Evan.
But in that process of dealing with, Instagram person, they're going to ask you a few questions. And some of those questions will actually be helpful. Some of those questions will actually be insightful, will cause some self-reflection, and could be valuable. But it doesn't mean that their recommendations or advice are anything close to what Mark Drager is going to give you. I just believe that. And that's what we have here. This guy's great, whatever. He's okay what he does. If you look him up in Google, I'm sure he shows up and there's some ratings and awesome. And he asked some insightful questions. And the biggest value out of that was the self-reflection and stories that you maybe haven't even thought about in a long time, which is great. But the entire process and definitely the results are not the Mark Drager of this. And so you just take it for what it is. Like, recommendations are pretty useless. Overall, it was could have been condensed into one session instead of 4 or 5.
Or at least it could have been done in the matter of 2 days. I mean, it was like, we just
need to find the Mark Drager of it. Maybe it's this woman, or maybe it's somebody else.
Yeah.
The best part was the questioning, that even a dummy will be able to ask you a couple of good questions that make you self-reflect. So that's what you got out of it. Great.
Well, anyway, I wanted to update you because your certainty of things, I usually trust, but sometimes it just conflicts with, guys, when you're friends with Evan, what you don't realize is you can turn to him and he will be 100% certain about something. But most of the time, what he's certain about is the exact opposite of what everyone else thinks and says. And so you have to decide, like, do you believe and trust this person who has been proven right in the past and yet has no experience or reason to really be so confident? Or do you listen to everyone else?
Talk about a dig. That is absolutely not true. Keep going.
Oh, come on, man. There are things that you are so you do the 80. If you're 80% certain, you're 100% certain. There are so 85. Many things. What's that?
85, but yes.
85. Okay. I shaved off 5%.
That's a really important fine line of 5%.
Anyway, that's fine. We don't have to talk about that.
We can. I don't care. But when I'm confident, then I'm confident, and it very rarely proves wrong. I mean, already right from the start, like, you've got, how do I make it my superpower? If you're dealing with somebody who does not believe that that's possible, you're already dealing with the wrong person. Already, like, okay, thank you, appreciate the time. Next.
Well, so here's what I think. I think that my anxiety, which I've always been aware of, at least I've been aware of for the last 8 or 10 years, is much more deliberate. What's the word?
Deliberate? I don't know. It's what? Oh, debilitating?
Debilitating. It's much more debilitating than I thought. So I've known about it, I've lived with it, and I've dealt with it, but I didn't realize actually how much it was destroying me.
Okay.
And so,
just coupled with something. It's not an
fixed mindset. I think fixed mindset.
No. I think that too.
I think it's the perfectionist. It's the perfectionist. I got it. So it's past trauma makes me feel extremely vulnerable to criticism and the need to be smart enough, sharp enough, fast enough, and get it right. And whenever I fall short of my expectations, or I feel like I don't have control, I get terrible anxiety. When I feel that, when you pair that with a fixed mindset of not being good enough and you got to win all the time, and you have it or you don't have it, like, all of this stuff just swirls around where
it's still coupled with something else. I don't
know if it is. I don't know if it is.
It is. I'm telling you, it is. I mean, we can come back in a year and then, it is great. Or you just figure it out now. But for sure, fixed mindset, sure, but that's everybody, right? I mean, it's a scale.
Certain times.
What?
There are, I mean, even in her book, she says, listen, you can have people who live in growth mindset, but you say the right words in the right combination, you can shift them to fixed. You can take fixed people and shift them to growth. It's something we all have to work on.
Yes,
it's a good book.
I agree. There's no one person who's like only fixed mindset. And you can shift to more of a growth mindset. You can. I mean, you can shift there. Anxiety too is a scale, and you fall harder on it than others, but it's not crazy. It might be more than the average person, but the average person deals with a lot of anxiety too. Most people live in fear and anxiety. That's their default operating system, and you can shift out of that. No, but the highs and the lows are too extreme. It's not just anxiety. It's definitely something else that you're a spectrum of.
Well, I'm going to focus for the next little bit on the anxiety and the mindset, and see if and energy. You and I talked a little bit about that. Like, I know Tony Robbins is really big on, and everything, and taking massive action. And I think, yeah, I mean, I don't know. The perfectionism is something that's certainly really, really hurting me as well. So I'm kind of aware now about the things that are hurting me. I've had a lot of clarity over the last few weeks of the things that I'm next level at, that I'm comfortable owning. And then it's trying to keep day to day the bad things down, and keep day to day the good things up. No?
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you want to take Instagram personal branding guy's opinion and go with it, you go with it. That's basically what we're doing. It's like, hey, you know what? I got.
Would your suggestion be to? I mean, I'm ready to no longer work with this person. So cool, we got this thing. This was a period of time. I think that I got something. Would your suggestion be to find the next person who can help me, or to still self-diagnose and self-treat and all of that stuff? Dr. Evan.
And the
ultimate. So there is a room for therapy still, you think?
Oh, for sure. No. I didn't say it's like, don't go talk to anybody. I think it's great. I think you have to, you have such high standards for yourself, and you should, and this is the life that you're trying to create, that you should pay very close attention to who your mentors are and who you listen to advice from. I think it matters, because you get the wrong advice. Now it's your life that you're talking about. This is like, if you had to have a heart surgery, would you just go, oh, okay, yeah. Oh, you're a heart surgeon. Oh, perfect. Great. Let's do this. No, you're going to research who this person is, what their background is, what kind of reviews do they have. You're going to try to find the best heart surgeon possible. No, you're just going to go, oh, you're a heart surgeon? Oh, awesome. Okay, great. I trust you to operate on my heart. But that's basically.
So literally I would be in the hospital and they'd say, you need a heart surgeon. And I'd be like, oh, okay. And they'd be like, here's Dr. Jim. And I'd be like, oh, okay. Thanks, Dr. Jim. And then I would either be like, does this guy know what he's talking about, but still go ahead with it anyway, because I don't want to offend him? Or, yeah, I mean, I was never raised in the type of house where you pre-qualify and question authority and all of that stuff.
Well, that's different. Pre-qualify is different than question authority. I think it's a losing game. Like to go and try to make this guy change is a long process.
I'm not up. That's not my job. Like
no, it's not your job, so it's not questioning authority. It's screening who you have coming in to get the best people. Like this guy or whoever you bring in is part of your team. It's part of your life building team now.
But this was the shift that happened a few weeks ago, which happened, I think, as a result of me being ready for the therapy. So I haven't even told you about this breakthrough. I was saving this one. I was saving this one for the podcast.
Breakthrough.
Breakthrough.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Over the weekend, this felt big to me. It might be nothing to you. Over the weekend, and then on Monday, I came to the conclusion, and then I had a call with my team where I decided or declared that I am the product. So when I spent 10 years trying to build Phantom Media and trying to build my business. I was a business owner trying to build a business. My business was an expression of who I was and what I stood for, but I was building the business. And part of what you and I have been working through and what I've realized is I spent a lot of time and energy building something rather than building Mark or building my life, because I think we as entrepreneurs, we get caught up in the project, or when we hit the $1 million and we hit the $10 million, when we get this goal, when we hit that goal, but then you wake up at 35 or 45 or 55 and you have an asset, but you haven't actually built, you haven't actually, not even just yourself, you haven't even just built the life. You haven't put yourself in a position where the asset is just an asset.
What Mark is the product? What's the connection?
So I've snapped everything together. So I am the product, which means I need to spend my time, energy, and focus on whatever serves rather whatever serves my goals first, as opposed to Fanta's goals first.
Meaning if you don't have the right energy coming in, the product's going to suck?
Meaning like I'm finally ready to say like, hey, everyone on your team, I don't have a Mark Drager team and a Fanta team. Basically it's like Fanta is a collection of people that represent my values. Fanta is the actual tool or the actual system based on what I believe and what I know. I don't know if I'm explaining this properly, but
I would just flip it. I would imagine this: Mark is the brain and Louis is the heart. You're the brain.
But what I have been doing for years is that I am working for Fanta in a role as a CEO or as a leader or whatever. I'm working for Fanta. Louis is working for Fanta. And what I've flipped is Fanta is just one of 7 things that I'm going to do. It's more important that I look at that life arc, that I look at my goals, and I work on Fanta.
Sure.
But know that Fanta is one of 7. It's not the thing. Because what was happening was I was spending all my time on the thing. And then when it came to the other aspects of my own development, of myself, even taking care of my body, my health, connecting with friends, whatever it was, I just didn't have time or energy or cared because I was busy building the thing. But then I realized that the thing, I was building the wrong, I wasn't only building the wrong company, the way that I was thinking about and building it was wrong. That if I'm successful in 10 or 20 years, it's more like, it's more like Lady Gaga, right? Lady Gaga could do a lot of things, but it's Lady Gaga's the product. Rachel Hollis. Rachel Hollis is the product, even though she has a lot of companies, has a lot of things. That was a big shift for me because I've always put all of this stuff that we're doing as a hobby, as secondary, as nice to have. I'd like to build it, this or that. And I basically said to the team that Fanta will not grow and succeed if Mark does not grow and succeed. And
like
a big flip.
That's everybody, right? I mean, Fanta does not grow and succeed if Louis doesn't grow and succeed. If everybody on the team is not growing and succeeding. That's personal development 101. And right?
Hey guys, next episode, Louis is going to join us.
Oh snap! It's happening. Yeah, that's everybody, right? I mean, that's leadership. Wanting the people on your team to win and grow more than wanting to win and grow with you. So great.
I think you live here all the time, so I don't think you realize what a breakthrough this actually is for me.
Okay, perfect.
Because what I'm basically saying is
so how we tie it back to Team Mark?
How do we tie it back to Team Mark?
This is what we're talking about is, hey, when there's something important to you, the amount of research you'll do on a car about getting the right car. Like, oh my God, this truck is in Detroit and I have to go across the border to get this truck or whatever. And it's not going to be like all the amount of research that you spend to get the perfect truck or car. And then, oh, you're the doctor? Oh, perfect. Okay, great. Yeah, let's do this. It's like, just makes no sense. Everybody who you're around is on your team now, and you have to tell them what to do.
Yes. But it's also me not like me spending the time on myself.
Yeah, it's worth it.
The energy on myself. It's worth it because
but that's a different thing. Okay, yes, I agree. There's nothing to talk about. You're right. Yes.
No, but it's like most people, the reason why I was uncomfortable with this and coming to it. So I watched the Taylor Swift documentary last week. I watched the Lady Gaga documentary last week, and I was so blown away by not only their work ethic and the people they surround themselves by, but just the natural fact that they can't do Tony Robbins can't do everything, right? He needs a team, and we know that you need a team and stuff. But I was building the team for Fanta rather than building the team in Fanta for me.
Yes, great.
That's what I've sorted out.
Great. Yes. Okay, perfect.
Let's go.
Back to Team Mark.
That's fine.
You need to get the people on your team for Mark the human that help best support him. It's like you're going to give the kids away to a babysitter. It's like, I'm a babysitter. Oh, okay, great. You said you're a babysitter, so let me just leave you with my kids.
We've done that. We've done that. Hey, you're a 14-year-old girl who someone said was awesome. Great. Like I got laser eye surgery. I didn't do any research on the laser eye surgery.
Okay, but so this is important now. It's like you're not actually doing what you say you want to do. You're not actually screening. You're not actually taking it as important. You're just trusting instead of actually, it's like, oh, you're a video editor? Okay, great. Yeah, you're hired. You would never do that. Oh, you say you can make motion graphics? Oh, great. Yeah, you're on board. Like you would never do that, but you're doing that in your life.
But I do this. But I used to hire people this way as well, where it's like, I want you to do X, Y, Z. Can you do it? They say, yeah, I can do that. I go, great, let's go. And then 7 months later, I'm like, so disappointed, have to fire the person. Yeah, okay. They didn't live up to expectations.
So you've learned and grown on the business side.
Yes.
Now we got to do that for our life.
Yes.
Right? What did you go to Jacqueline? Oh, you're a woman? Okay, I'll marry you.
She was 16, I was 17. There was a little bit more to that, but
let's start acting a little bit more. That's what I want. I want
to raise our standards. Raise our standards
a little bit more. It's now, some of them aren't as big a deal. Doesn't mean you have to over examine everything, but when you're talking about something as big as your mindset, your personality, your belief system, right? Something like, do I have border personality disorder or not? That's a major life thing. That's super important to get right and understand what you've got. So just default trust in somebody is not the path. So is there room for therapy and discussion? For sure. I mean, I sent you that. I think I suggested you have that woman on your podcast from that article I sent you.
Yes.
I think it's great to reach out to people who are experts in this, but the problem is you have to find the person who's, if you're going to trust their guidance, you have to have somebody who's going to give you empowering guidance, which just is not the case most of the time. It's, here's what you got. Okay, there's some coping mechanisms or there's some drugs you can take, but it's not actually empowering guidance to help you be the best you. It's just like, even saying it like that, it's like, what are you talking about? It doesn't make sense. It's not how people will default react. So great, that's not your mentor. If somebody says they're a life coach, awesome. You're just going to take advice from them because they're a life coach? No, you're going to screen them and see, like, does this person actually have a life that I respect and want a little piece of, right? So there's definitely room. Maybe it's her, maybe it's somebody else. I don't know. I think there is somebody who could help beyond me. I think the only difference with me is I actually think it's a superpower that you can win hardcore with without knowing all the technical terms and diagnosis and all that, right? But also think you can learn it. That's why I think, like, ultimately you have to be in control. You're building your own car, right? You're building your own car. So you're taking pieces from different people and saying, I like what this person said. It serves me well. This thing was useless, so I'm going to throw it away. So the self-awareness piece, like, if you're going to build your own car, you have to know what kind of car you want. So the journaling, the questions, whatever self-awareness helps, that leads you to better answers to build a better life for you. Because you're on a spectrum of everything. Everything is a spectrum. Just most of them, you might just fall into average, but then some you're a little bit out. So there is no perfect off-the-shelf solution for you, right? You're breaking out of the box, figuring out what you want. So do it. There you go. So both talk to people.
There we go.
But be very, very careful of who you talk to. And then also just, it's great. Like, you have to parse the exercise from the results. The only thing that was great about this guy was the questions he made you think about yourself. Yes. Everything else was a waste of time. Yes. Listening to his advice is actually detrimental. Accepting his diagnosis is a giant step backwards. A giant leap backwards. Listening to the diagnosis. Your opinion is meaningless. Your opinion is garbaggio.
Garbaggio.
Because we knew that going in, right? So to get any kind of consolation or solace or saying designing a strategy based off of the opinion is not just a waste of time. It's actually harmful. It's going in the wrong direction. It's following the map backwards. But the self-analysis, the self-questions are great.
Well, but except yes, all of that stuff's good. But what I do accept out of the diagnosis is like, oh, I have clinically on the spectrum, I have what they call moderate anxiety. Great. So it's not not there. It's not mild. It's not so severe that I can't even leave the house. But I have moderate anxiety. So now I start to go like, okay, well, maybe I should take this more seriously than I have. Like maybe I was thinking about this today. Like maybe I should start cutting back on my coffee and my caffeine, because I know that it makes me anxious, but I love coffee so much, but maybe I should. Maybe I should become more comfortable being disagreeable. Like, have you heard of the agreeable or disagreeable scale?
Yep.
Yeah. And so I come across, like, a lot of people think that I'm a very disagreeable person because I'm willing to be like, I don't want to do that. No, thank you. You know, my son comes up to me, do you want to play? I go, no, thank you. And he goes, oh, really?
I want you to learn to trust yourself more.
I don't trust myself at all.
But this is the problem, and then you end up going to people who don't know you, who are throwing their opinions at you, who are often wrong. And then that ends up leading you down a path that's not right for you. Like, this is an entirely self-awareness game.
Well, so the last few weeks,
you should know that anxiety is a problem for you.
But the last few weeks, it started to feel like 2012 to me, or 2011, when I had confidence, when I knew what I wanted, when I knew what I was doing, when I was sure that it was the right thing to do. And that if I just do these things, I will be successful. I will hit my goals. Like, the last few weeks has felt that way. What I haven't been able to trust without the diagnosis is like, oh, is that mania? Is that not mania? Is it real? Is it not real?
You went in saying, I think I have anxiety.
I went in saying I have anxiety and I think I have borderline personality disorder.
You went in going, I have anxiety with certainty.
Yes.
You left with him saying you have anxiety. Now, but this is the problem, because he gave you his rubber stamp of approval to say, yes, what you came in with is what you've got. Now you take it more seriously to say, oh, okay, I have anxiety. Even though you knew going in, you had anxiety.
Yes.
That's the problem. You knew it. So start to fix it. So start to get rid of coffee, test it, see if you feel better, start to whatever it else is, right? Test it. Like, you already knew. A rubber stamp of somebody who doesn't know you.
But Evan, this is black and white. Let's be black and white. I always know what I'm supposed to be doing.
Okay, great.
But I don't take action.
But so, I mean, that's the problem to fix, more than getting somebody who doesn't know you to tell you what to do. That's the problem to fix. If you know what you need to be doing, you know you have anxiety. The fact that this guy says you have anxiety should not be the thing that's, oh, crap, I have anxiety, so now I need to get rid of coffee. But that's the problem, because you're always going to be at the whim of what other people are saying, who don't know you, who don't have who aren't living inside your skin, who can't give you the actual right advice, because they're always tainted by how they. And you know, it sounds like I'm throwing massive shade at this guy, which I kind of am.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. I accept the shade.
Which is total. It's more like total respect for you, that I think you can do this. That the fact that you already know this, I don't want you wasting 4 weeks of time going in circles.
So
just to get the same result. And now, because this guy said, now I'm going to make the change when you already knew. That's the problem.
So let me ask you this real world scenario. So 3 days ago or 2 days ago, I had this realization in the afternoon. I write it down in my journal and I was like, oh man. So then I think about it and I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. And the next day I think about it some more. I don't know if I should take action on it or not. So then yesterday I texted you and I was like, hey man, it seemed really important. I'm like, this seems important enough. Evan, do you have 10 minutes to talk? Right. And you said at 10 o'clock last night, 10 o'clock last night, I got 10 minutes to talk. I was like, great. And then in the hour and a half leading up to 10 o'clock, 8:30 to 10, I'm like,
wait, already 10 o'clock. Mark is not happy because he usually goes to bed at 6:30. So now he's like super tired. He's
usually in bed by 9:30, but I'm like, okay,
you're staying up late for this.
So that's cool. Evan gave me time. Of course it's important. But then as the hour and a half, I'm like, is it really that important? Is it really this big of a deal? Maybe it's not maybe I'm wasting Evan's time. Maybe I shouldn't do, but I thought about it 3 days ago. I haven't taken any action on what should I do? And so then I'm like thinking about it, and then I run it by you and it's not a big deal at all. Like, it's like, you're like, we already knew this, Mark. Like, it's not a big deal. And I share that to say, like, I can't help myself yet. Like, I haven't figured out a way yet. I'll be growth mindset yet. Growth mindset. I haven't figured out a way yet.
You can't see the trees from the forest a lot of times.
To work through my own thoughts and take action without running them by someone, without saying, hey, guys, I've put a ton of thought into this. This is what I believe. Does that make sense? If this is true, here are the 4 possible outcomes, I think. Does that make sense? Here's the one thing that I want to take. Does this make sense? Yes.
Trees in the forest.
But here's what I'm asking you. Knowing me, do you think that I can train myself to run through this process and trust my own answers? Or do you think I should surround myself with people who accept this and are willing to play the game and will give me better insight? Ray Dalio style, like argue with me, Ray Dalio principles. I have an idea. I came to a conclusion, argue against why I'm wrong. And then let's find the truth in there.
Well, okay. There's a difference between most of your questions that are around this are self-awareness questions. What?
Okay.
It's a self-awareness question. That question last night was a self-awareness question. Which you can't, I'm giving you guidance that's in your best interest, but ultimately that's the tool that you need to develop yourself. Ray Dalio, I love it. Like, should we do this for the client? What am I missing? Is this a good product or not to sell? Should we be taking this approach or not? And getting feedback from people. That's great. But he's not going asking people about himself, right? Like, this is the game to get to know yourself better. The trees from the forest. You get lost in the moment and then you can't see the bigger picture for yourself. So you make a decision based off of what's happening in the micro situation without stepping up beyond and saying, okay, no, this is the plan. This is where I'm going. And this is still in my best interest. A lot of the shows here on the podcast have just been realigning you with what we said you were going to do. It's like, oh, I should, no. You don't want that. You get lost. Like, I don't want this thing. I'm going to burn Fanta to the ground. No, because let's go through it again. You don't want to be a solo guy. It's like, oh yeah. Okay. And go, right? Like trees from the forest. There's growing pains and building pains and all this stuff. And you're going to get stuck doing stuff that you don't want in the short term to get to where you need to go. Awesome. But this is the long-term vision that still is in line. Does this future vision is that not what you want anymore? Does that not make sense anymore? Where is the error in the logic that now no longer serves you? Right. And every time we deconstruct it, we end up at the same place.
Yes.
But that's the challenge of being able to see the trees from the forest. That you get stuck in doing a task that you don't like to do. Like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. And this is just all wrong. Like, no. Just breathe. And we got to step above. We got to step above to see the whole thing.
Let me share. I'll share with the audience my breakthrough that I needed to talk to Evan about at 10 o'clock.
Let me share something quick first, because that doesn't really matter. Let me share this. So last night, it's a full day. Mark wants to talk. I have no time. It was 8 o'clock. I'm hanging with my son.
No, your schedule is crazier than ever, actually. So
then I'm watching a show with my wife. And so the time I had was 10 o'clock when I wash the dishes and take the dogs out. So I rushed to take the dogs out. It was raining last night. I rushed to take the dogs out, rush, come back inside, got back up 9:59. And listen, if I was a minute late or whatever, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But I rushed them. And then
did they make a mess?
No. So what happened was 20 minutes after our call, Mark and I talked for, 15 minutes or something like that. It wasn't a long ass call. Timo is going to Nina. He's going to Nina. And he's like begging. He's like, what's the matter? He's like, maybe he's hungry. No, he just ate. He's like, did he poo outside? No, he didn't poo outside. It's because you rushed him. It's because of Mark Drager. Next time, you're not allowed to do a 10 o'clock call with Mark Drager and rush the dogs, because now I'm going to take the dogs out.
So one, you could have taken my call outside, right?
No, the signal sucks outside.
You could have called me on the telephone.
True.
Yeah. And then two, you told me you were like,
I need to see the reaction. I need to see you being homeless in your hat and
in here with all the lights off.
Listen, my advice is better when I can see person. I need to see people. I'm a visual guy.
I will keep that in mind. Anyway, that was a good story. And then you to tell me that you rushed it, and that if the dogs made a mess on the floor, that you would make me come over and clean it up in a hazmat suit, right? Right.
So yeah. So you should have taken the dogs out. Anyway, Nina took them out. Anyway, so it was fun. Good times. But yes, trees. That's the game. Like, I don't think the answer is surround yourself. It's helpful, right? So I guess kudos to you for reaching out and say, this is important. Can you talk? Because usually Mark doesn't do that. So I didn't know what he wanted to talk about, but sure, we'll make some time to make it happen, and whatever. If I had to be up at midnight talking to him, we would have done it. But ultimately, that's the thing to learn yourself. It's like, I don't trust my own judgment on this yet. So how do I get the space to step above the situation to then figure out what the right path is?
So how do I do that?
Practice. Like, you just did it now, like not now, well, maybe even now, like thinking that this guy's diagnosis is the answer. It's not. But yesterday, you thought this was the thing, and you've been thinking about it for 3 days. So it must be the thing, but it's not. Like it might be, but when you step above and you think about where is Mark Drager going, it's not. This is just a speed bump that you have to get over and get through to get to where you want to go, right?
I will just share, because I think it's relevant, that the breakthrough I had, but it hit me after I started my company in 2006. I've been doing this for a really long time. It hit me with the realization, and it came from the fact that someone called me from Calgary. So someone we've worked with in the past from Calgary called me up and said, "Hey, how you doing? How are things going? I haven't worked together in a year. What's up? What's happening?" And when we got off the call, I was like, "Oh man, like, it must be so tough for him, because he can't work unless someone gives him work." And I literally wrote down in my book, it's like, I never want to be in that situation, right? Like, my team, my staff members can't work unless I give them work. This guy can't work unless we give him work. But because I own my company, and because I feel responsible for my own future, I'm not sitting around waiting for someone else to give me something to build my company, right? Like, I'm building my company. And then it made me think, hold on, like, what is my best thing? What's the biggest driver in what I do? Yeah, I'm pretty good at asking questions, and I understand insight, and I'm really good at brand positioning and brand strategy and all that stuff that you mentioned. But my greatest asset is my creative energy. It's like being able to jump on a call and care about the outcome and care what's happening and participate with all of my being, and to write copy that's enticing and interesting. It's creative energy. And it hit me. It's like, oh, I'm just like this guy, though, because I sell my creative energy to my clients. I've spent all of these years as a marketing company, as a marketing agency or whatnot, pouring my creative energy into the projects that we sell to people, but we're giving their businesses my creative energy. And then when it comes to your stuff or my stuff or personal stuff, or even building Fanta, I don't feel like I have anything left. I've given all the good stuff away. My wife used to say, "Mark, you give all the best you give all the best of you to your customers and your clients and your team, and then you come home really tired, and it's not the best. Like, we're not getting the best version of you." And so that was the realization I had earlier in the week, was like, oh my goodness, this might be true. And if it is true, what should I do about it? And how much action should I take? And how swift should I be? Evan likes, let's go. So should I be swift or not swift? And that was the realization. I think I'm really good at actually having these light bulb moments. Like, that's a skill I have, a gift I have, is being able to be like, oh, there's the clarity. But then what to do with the clarity, the actions to take, that's the thing that, I just spend more time thinking about these breakthroughs and having these breakthroughs than I do actually doing anything with them.
No, that's not true. I mean, on the marketing side, sure. On the marketing side, you can make stuff happen that other people don't see, and you know what to do next. Like, here's the steps you need to take.
Yeah, I was looking at someone on IG.
Okay, hold on. You're good at that on the marketing side. On the self-awareness side, you're not very good at it. You come up with these light bulb moments that often are not light bulb moments.
Okay.
But that's fine. This is developing a new skill that you're not used to.
Wasn't that a light bulb moment, that my greatest asset is my creative energy? And wherever I apply that, I see massive growth. So why am I not applying it to the things that will help me build the life and the arc that I want, as opposed to just servicing the little need today?
That's a
shift to me.
Not really. You've always been like that. I mean, it's a light bulb moment for you because of what the next step is, but the next step is not right. Right? Like, okay, so should I do this in my company? No. Because if you think about what your light bulb moment was of your creative energy, think what you want to build is the best extension of your creative energy.
Yes.
This is where we need to go. This is what Mark Drager Enterprise is going to look like. whether it's in a year or 5 years or 10 years or whatever. Hopefully not 10 years. Jesus
years,
Christ.
Evan, 50 years.
Oh my gosh. That's what he wants to build.
I want to still be doing this when I'm 87 and
doing what?
You've just turned 90. Whatever, this banter, this thing
podcast?
that we're doing. No, it doesn't have to be podcast. Who knows what it'll be? Just this banter.
It's great that they're coming to you, because before they weren't coming to you. So great. So now you're listening, you're paying attention, you're writing, you're journaling, you're thinking. Awesome. And with proper perspective, you'll make better calls. So I don't think you're very good at it on the personal side yet, but you're getting better. On the marketing side, you're a genius at it. And on other stuff, you would suck at it, just like I would, right? I mean, suck at most things. So there you go. I'm happy with that answer.
And
final answer.
Done.
Final answer. Final answer. Yeah. So the creative energy for sure. But just like I told you last night, the problem isn't that you've used all your creative energy. The problem is that you used all your, not even creative energy, you just used your energy. Like you're not, the problem is you're not being creative. You're given, if Jacqueline's complaining that you don't have, we don't get the best of you, it's because you're so drained from giving your best to other people, but for people who you don't actually want to, like, it's actually sapping you. They're sucking your life force dry. So that's why you got nothing. But if you spent your day working with awesome people, working on amazing projects, you come home and be jazzed. Like, oh my God, what a day. This is crazy. I met all these great people, right? Not dead tired, not wanting to talk, and just need to recover. So it's more about the challenge isn't that you are giving your best creative energy to things. The problem is you're probably not giving enough creative energy to things. You're not spending time with the right people. You're doing the wrong work. You're hand holding, and then you don't want to come home and.
So how could I feel like I've spent the last few years unwinding things to try and unwind a bunch of mistakes I've made, or the way that I've thought, or whatever. And maybe that's true or not. Maybe everybody has to go through that. Like, you think you don't really know what you want when you start, and then you get to a certain place and you go, oh, this isn't actually what I wanted. And you have to unwind things to get what you want. And maybe that's just life. Maybe that's just growing up. But to avoid this, or if I could go back, I know you don't like if I could go back questions, but if I could go back and have done this more carefully the first time, so that way I didn't have to spend 4 years unwinding to rebuild, what are the things that I should be doing differently? And I'm going to write these down.
So more specifically, like what are you trying to?
Well, so one of them you're saying is like, I need to hold those, like I don't even know how to do it. Like I need to be able to find people that I could hold to a higher standard. Respect.
No. You don't want to hold them to a higher standard. That's the problem. You want people to come in with a high standard.
Okay.
Holding people to a higher standard already is draining for you.
Yes.
You don't want to follow up with them. You don't want to PM them. You don't want to tell them that the once a quarter conversation of what they could be and where they could go and the vision that you have for their life. That's great. You'll do that. You'll sell a dream, but you don't want to hold them to anything.
No.
Yeah, but it's like, so great.
Like you texted me the other day and you're like, hey, how's it going with Tyler? This someone on your team that I'm working with. And I was like, good, I guess. I mean, I think my response is I'm not PMing them. So I don't know. It's in their court. Like,
oh, that's fine. I mean, that was basically me PMing. It's like, hey, where are we at with this thing?
Yeah.
And I message you, and then I message Tyler, and then we'll see, right? I wasn't expecting you to run the whole thing. I was just curious where we were at.
No. I know. I'm just saying, like that response was like, I was so happy to be like, yeah, I'm not PMing.
Okay, but even in like the first thing, this is the self-awareness thing that we need to work on. The first thing that you said, I said, get more specific. And the first thing you wrote down or were thinking was, I need to hold people to higher standards. Like, no, that is not what you want. And it's not because it's what I want. It's if we dig down into it, which we just did, you don't want to hold people to anything. You hate that job. You hate having to feel like you're the only guy driving it forward and they can only step up if you're around. and pushing their feet to the fire. Some people thrive and they love that. It's just not what you want to do.
No.
But being around people who, I would pay attention to their energy. Like, you want to be around people who make you feel good. Be around people who make you feel good. And if you want to apply the extraordinary hashtag to everything, right? Like, do you feel more extraordinary coming out of that conversation with my team members, with my customers that I'm working on, with the projects that I'm taking on? Is it extraordinary? Do I feel better? Some of the work you do, you feel great. You walk out of that meeting feeling, I am the greatest human on the face of this planet. I'm amazing. And others, it's like, this is a total waste of my time. This is not delivering results. I don't feel extraordinary at all doing this. So we need to create a path to get you out of doing that thing. Like, the short term versus the long term is a very different story. If you have to do something in the short term, it's not necessarily fire all your clients because they suck and you're doing work that you hate. Well, hold on, because you still got to survive and pay bills and have a team and all of this stuff. But long term, we know you can't be doing this kind of work. For others, brain strategy is torture, right? Like, put Nina in charge of brain strategy for somebody, she's going to hate her life. You just happen to love it and be great at it. So this is where we need to spend more of our time, which we identified way back was like brain strategy, selling, and mentoring are the things that you wanted to do. That's where we need to spend our time. That's what extraordinary Mark Drager and his work looks like. Other stuff is ranges of good to I hate my life. And so we need to start killing the I hate my life stuff as quickly as possible, which was basically last night's scenario. It's like, you're doing work that you hate your life on, and then you make it bigger than it is. Like, I need to make this giant. It's no. Breathe. Perspective, right? We just need
because that's something else that I know in myself that I maybe a good thing or maybe a bad thing, but I always, whenever something goes wrong, I always look for the root cause of it to try and see if what went wrong was an outcome of other things, or whether it was a symptom of other things, or whether it's actually the thing that we need to fix. And so I typically run that scenario through my head real quick, and then I determine that this is, like a symptom of another problem or something else, and I want to fix that root cause or that root problem. And so, of course, it's important, and I make it something bigger than it needs to be because I want it fixed. Because let's circle all the way back to the anxiety and stuff. Like, I want things the right way. I want to do them the right way. I want to make sure they're done the right way. I want to know that no one can come back to us with any criticism. I want to know that we're above reproach, that like everything is like done the right way. And when it falls short of those things, what's that?
Above reproach. I like that.
Yes. When it falls short of those things, it makes me scared. It makes me uncomfortable. It makes me not feel good about myself. It makes me question if we've worked this hard and we couldn't do it, what's the point? Or like, it just slides everything, the other way. So, okay. So look at the tasks I do, look at the people and the way that they make me feel. And, I think the lens of extraordinary is a really good one for me to continue to use. Obviously, it's my one word. But
extraordinary people, extraordinary clients, extraordinary work.
Do I make an effort to be comfortable just being more disagreeable without like someone asks me for something and I don't want to do it, and I'm just politely saying, no, thank you, I'm not going to do that. Like, rather than, or like people who are like, hey, do you want to get together? And I can just be like, no, thank you. And then just leave it there, like just to help reset some of the current situation I find myself in.
Maybe, it's like, that's case by case. Like, this becomes
like, I ask you and Nina, hey, do you guys want to come to our Christmas party? This is last year. You want to come to our Christmas party? Having a karaoke party on a Friday night. It'll be fun. You're like, yeah, no, thank you. We don't want to do that. Like, I think Nina's,
did I not explain? It's like, hey, we don't like karaoke. We don't like hanging out with people.
That you explained to me. Nina's response, I think, to me was, we're not going to do that. I think that was her quote, was like, literally, we're not going to do that. So, and I'm like, perfect. I wish I had Nina's ability to just be clear.
But that approach is not going to be great for a lot of people, right? So you could do it and you can get burned a couple times. But what what is likely going to happen? Okay, I'm just going to be more direct with people. Great. Black and white, I'm going to do this. Great. Now you're more direct with people, and it works with some people. And then with others, you're going to totally piss them off. And you're like, oh my God, I guess it didn't work. So I should go back and be super friendly to everybody. And then you're going to get pissed off that you didn't tell people what they wanted. It's case by case.
I like rules. I like black and white, not case by case, because I don't pick the right thing all the time.
No. The rules get more specific. That's all. I'm fine with black and white can be fine, but you have to have the pattern recognition to know when to stop and when to go. When you're driving, you're stopping at red lights and you're driving at greens and rushing through the yellows. I mean, that's how Mark Drager drives.
I don't drive that way. My name's Mark Drager.
It's a Drager style. Green is go, yellows go faster, and red is stop. Those are rules that you've learned instead of just get in the car and just drive, right? Which is what you're going to do. And then what happens? You're going to crash. You're going to kill somebody. You're going to run into a tree. You're going to smash a dog. Like, you're going to have all sorts of mistakes, but driving, it also gets you somewhere. It's the micro rules that you need to get better at. The pattern recognition of doing it enough to understand what the little micro rules are, so that you say, oh, I've seen this before. Okay, here's what we do, which you're great at on the marketing side. You came and gave us a set of rules. Okay, here are 5 things that we have to go through. And depending on how we answered them, you take people down a different decision tree, right? Like, oh, you don't like solid lines? Okay, great. Gone. I'm never going to show you solid lines again, or whatever, right? And you work your way down. What are the emotions or colors that you like? Oh, you hate green? Great. I'm never going to show you green ever again. You've developed these super intricate rules that help you jump steps really quickly that look like magic, that people say, wow, how did you do that?
I call them decision-making frameworks, because
great. But you need that for everything. You need that for life.
I developed one the other day that I was really proud of. Look at this, the path to the prospect. You can't see handwritten notes.
It's fine. That's what you need to do for life. So for the decision-making framework for when to be super direct to somebody and when not to be.
Mm-hmm.
If you're talking to me and you're telling me some giant story and giving me tons of context, like, oh my God, Drager, what do you want? Like, how can I help? What's the punchline? Get to the point, right? Because I just want to help. I don't want to listen to the context most of the time. But somebody else might need more. They might need that more. They might need more context or more understanding or more background or more caring or more understanding, right? But it's not just this. You're looking at it from the outside to say, wow, this is just magical. People are just naturally good at this and I suck at it. I'm never going to get better. You just haven't taken the time to build the framework to understand the different rules of when to go and when to stop. So you're either just stuck in the garage and never moving, or you're out on the road killing everything all along the way.
You love this analogy.
It's a great analogy, because that's basically what you are. It's like, I'm just going to go. Yes, black and white. I'm just going to drive.
Yeah, full blast. Let's go.
Full blast and smash anything my way. And maybe I get to my destination.
And then when I realize that doesn't work, I go,
or you just
no point in going out.
You stay stuck in the garage and I'm not going to do anything.
Yeah.
But what the insight from this is a breakthrough moment. The insight for me is you like to see things in black and white. And I love playing in the gray. But if you go more micro, it's just a bunch of black and whites. And you just have to learn what that framework is. You don't have to play in the gray.
I don't like playing in the black and white. It's just everything seems.
But this is the thing, dude. Mark, this is how, like, wherever that comes from, if that's BPD or your anxiety or your bipolar or whatever, right? The fact that you love playing in black and white, you hack it, you use it to recognize that, oh, this is just actually, instead of saying, no, I have to play in the gray. I hate this. I suck. I freaking hate playing in the gray. I need to get better at it. No, just recognize that every decision is just a series of black and whites. And you're great at black and white. You just have to figure out which ones are black and which one are white. That's a light bulb breakthrough moment. Write that down. Life is a series of black and whites.
I'm going to write that down.
Decision frameworks for everything.
Yes, I wrote that down. Decision-making frameworks for life. I wrote that down for life.
For life, for everything. Yes, that is great. That is Mark's. We're using Mark's natural, innate style as a superpower instead of making him feel like it's an inadequacy.
Yes.
So you don't have to look at other people and say, oh, they're so good in the gray.
Because I know that my cynicism and my black and white thinking is what makes me great at brand strategy and other things. It's like, you're going to go left, you're going to go right. And everyone goes, well, can't we do both? You can't do both well. You can do both poorly. Do you want to do one of them? Like, which one do you want to do? Let's do it the best way we can and be specific about it. And so that's why everything just seems black and white to me.
So the world is not actually gray for you. The world is just micro black and white. So you got to figure out.
I'll have to ruminate on micro black and whites a little bit more, because I got to figure that one out. But that is something.
That's a big one.
Superpower.
Yep. Superpower. That's a superpower. See, that's what, and listen, somebody who is better qualified than me could have got you there faster.
Yeah, but I have more fun doing this with you.
Well, it's not just more fun, but the only difference, like the better qualified are not seeing you and this thing that you've got as a superpower. So they never come up with a thing. That's the problem.
Right. Because they're trying to ease it or cure it rather than just say, how do we love it?
No, not even cure. There is no cure. They're trying to say, well, just accept it, that this is who you are and you're going to be limited your whole life. Or you could take this medication to help you not stress out or have as much anxiety, as opposed to saying, no, this is actually superpower. I just have the belief in what Mark Drager could become. And then we're trying to piece together the hows to get you there and throwing some things at the dartboard. And like, I think this is something, right? Somebody who has the hows could get you there faster if they had the belief. That's what I'm trying to have you find the people who have that belief.
Oh, I hear what you're saying.
So that the path becomes clear, because the guy with all the expert without the belief that it's a superpower was never going to help you. It's a waste of time.
Real quick. I know we're out of time, but real quick. Often what we're doing in our agency is we're coming up with ideas for people. So I come up with creative or strategy or ideas. The client buys into it and we go, yes, we're going to create something with a little boy holding a puppy. And then we turn it over to team members and other people, and people go, that's not going to work. And we go, no, it's going to work. It's going to work. It's going to work. And then they produce it, but because they don't believe in it, it doesn't work. Like just their lack of belief in the concept, the idea or whatever, means that even when they go through the motions, they never go through it hard enough, fast enough, good enough. It doesn't work. And then at the end they go, see, I told you it wasn't going to work. And you're like, yeah, it didn't work because you didn't believe in it.
Yep. So
that makes sense to me. That makes sense.
Raising the quality of the people in our team, in our life team.
Yes.
The second that doctor gave you the smirk or whatever, session number 1 is like, how can I make this a superpower? He's like, what are you talking about? Okay, thank you. Appreciate the time. I'll pay you for your session. I'm out of here. Right? Like, just the wrong person.
See, I'm already getting nervous about just the thought of having to be like, oh, okay, cancel. We're not going to go forward. Have to find someone new. Anyway, but it's worth it.
But finding the right people is worth it. Finding the right brand strategist. If you go with the wrong brand strategist, what happens to your company?
You're screwed. You're done.
But why don't you take that approach for your life? If you go to the wrong therapist, you're screwed with your life. Forget about just your brand, your life.
Yeah.
Help me be a superhero, right? And if they don't get that, it's the wrong person. And that's the only difference. I have whatever it is, emotional intelligence, context on you for a number of years, but the strength is the belief. And I'm doing everything I can to try to make those dots work, but I'm learning the dots as we go, but the belief allows me to build the ladder or the bridge or whatever. Because I think there's another side where everybody else has all the tools, but they don't think there's another side. So guess what? They don't get there. Period. Mark doesn't remember what we talked about last week. I don't either, but it's a great episode. Go check it out. It's right there next to me. Continue to believe.
Evan feels good about it.